All the words that you're using to describe the why of your creative small business don't need to live on a shelf tucked away in the corner of your brain. They need to go on paper. This is the mood board for your words, essentially your brand positioning, and a big part of that are your core values. What's up? Welcome back to another episode here. I'm Ashlyn Carter, and this is the Ashlyn Writes channel, and over here I serve creative entrepreneurs like you as a conversion copywriter. Essentially, that means I am a word nerd, and I love to help creative small businesses just like the one you have sell more with your words. If you haven't before, I would invite you to look below and click that subscribe button. I release new mini trainings just like this every single week, and that way you'll be first in line to know when they come out. I love hanging out on Instagram if that is more your style. I also announce these videos and when they come live every single week over there, so follow along if that is more your style. So as I mentioned, your core values are a piece of the bigger part of messaging, which is your brand positioning. And today I'm going to give you 4 secrets you can work through as you start to discern and figure out your core values. I have a question and I want you to tell me if this is you. Have you spent a lot of time on the branding of your business, the visual branding when it comes to your logo, maybe your color palette, your website, all of those beautiful visual elements that go into creating a cohesive brand? Is that you? You've spent a lot of time and a lot of money there, but I also want you to realize that that is just a piece of the branding puzzle. Back to that concept, I said kind of the mood board for your words, that brand positioning is a huge chunk of your branding. Now, I work with hundreds of creative small businesses, and what I've typically seen is we spend a lot more time on the sexy, fun, visual side of branding than maybe we're spending when it comes to the messaging part of branding. Honestly, it's so easy to let this happen. Either we are a solopreneur, a team of one, and we don't need to have all that out there because it's all in our head and we bleed it and it comes out in our messaging. But a lot of times what happens is when you get to that point where you're starting to hire and move on and move so fast, some of this stuff needs to be pinpointed and needs to be on paper. So today we're going to be unpacking this part of your brand message, and your brand positioning and messaging is something that you need to have in place before you turn over to writing those website words that convert browsers to buyers. Today's freebie is one more thing that you can have in place before you sit down and write your website words. So look down below, grab that Google Docs website copywriting template. It is a little mini sliver version of the one that we use to service clients in my business. And I hope that this helps you kind of get in a headspace to write your website without being distracted with all the shiny visual elements. Okay, let's dig into those 4 secrets that you can use as you write out your core values. Secret number 1, be dedicated to the idea and the concept of starting with your why. I know you've heard the idea before that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And this can all be traced back to Simon Sinek's great TED Talk, Start with Why. I know that is in the Creative Entrepreneur Starter Kit, but if you've never watched it or you've watched it 12 times, I want you to look down below and watch that video again before you sit down and write your core values. I think it's so important for us to come back to the idea that people buy relationships, stories, and magic. They don't necessarily just buy the what of whatever it is that you do. So your core values are this set of timeless guiding principles that are going to help you as you grow, as you make decisions and decide what to say yes to, what to say no to, as you build a culture. And yes, even if it's just you, you still have a culture, but you definitely want those things in place because I feel like you'll be hiring sooner than you thought if your business is anything like mine. The important thing to realize here with secret number 1 is that your core values are already there. They already exist inside you. Your why is already there. We just need to pull it out and pin it down. I love this quote from the book Traction by Gino Wickman. He said that core values already exist within your organization. They've just been lost in the day-to-day chaos. You guys know me, I tend to be a little bit of a quote hoarder, so I have one more for you here. This is from Jim Collins. He says, executives often ask me, how do we get people to share our core values? You don't. Instead, the task is to find people who are already predisposed to sharing your core values. Attract, retain those people, and let those who aren't predisposed to sharing your core values go elsewhere. So this is a relief, right? As we wrap up secret number 1, you already have your core values floating around. Our job is just to catch them. Another secret to helping you draft your core values is to have a values storm, so to speak. I want you to set a timer for 5 minutes, pull out a piece of paper, and until that timer goes off, just write. Some questions to think through as you do this are, what values do you personally cling to? What do you hold dear? What do you believe firmly? Why did you decide to go into business? And what is one value that you would want every team hire or contractor to share? What's something that your business would never do? Early on, before I left my job and went to work for myself, I was taking a class at General Assembly for budding entrepreneurs, and Kevin Sandlin was the digital marketer who was teaching that class, and he made a really good point. He said sometimes your core values are going to be the thing that come up most boldly when you get into kind of a sticky situation with a client that you're working with or a customer that you're trying to provide a service or offering to. The brand's values should be so strong and clear that anything that happens like on social media that doesn't reflect this brand should look completely out of character. So what are the guns that you stick to? That's secret number 2 that I want you to think through. And go ahead and tell me below, brag on yourself. What is something that you hold dear? One characteristic or facet that you always come back to as being really, really important. I love hearing about other people's personal values, so go ahead and tell me below what one of those is for you. Another secret to finding your core values is to pull in the supporting evidence. I have a few ideas that will help you out here. You could even use Pinterest to get started. I happen to love Pinterest, and I have a board over there of quotes that I see and I pin. So maybe you have something like that. Could you look over on Pinterest and see some of the phrases and the words that you've pinned over and over again? That may be a great place to start. Another exercise, back to Gino Wickman, the guy behind the book Traction, he recommends pulling in 3 people, either people that work inside your organization or 3 people that your brand just really identifies with. When I did this, it's helpful to think too about maybe a mentor or a coach that you have. That's kind of an adjunct member of your team, so to speak, and think about the characteristics that they have and also write those down. Now, I love this exercise. I do think it is kind of a little bit hard for those of us who work for really small businesses and it's just a small team where it's either just us or we only have a couple of contractors helping us out. So take this second exercise and kind of work with it and make it your own. Another idea is there a personality test that has helped you a lot. I love Strengths Finder. I will link to that below. That's one of my favorites, but maybe Myers-Briggs or Enneagram. There's some personality test out there that's helped you a lot identify the things about you that are true. So that's another great place to look to for supporting evidence. And finally, look to what other customers and clients say about you and your personality and what it's like to work with you. Okay, the fourth and the final secret, trim this list down to ones you can actually memorize. There's no magic number, but when we're working with our clients, we typically tell them about 4 to 6 core values to have in place as part of your brand positioning, and messaging is a really good place to start. So your core values are somewhere in this big list that you've created as you've had this values brainstorm and pulled in some supporting evidence. Again, when my team and I are doing this for clients, we start to look and combine like phrases, like words. We see where there's crossover, combine some things to make new phrases, or pull little strings of words together. There's no right or wrong way here, but you just want to start siphoning and sorting the information so it makes sense. Are they clear? Are they bite-sized? Are they easy to understand? We can pull a page from Einstein here. He said, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. Trim these down, and as a bonus secret, I want you to sleep on them. We absolutely sleep on these before we turn them over to our clients. I want you to do the same. You don't have to have these done in one sitting, but you can give yourself a little bit of time to play with them. Be sure to reference the blog post associated with this video. I pulled in a lot of swipe examples for you from creative small businesses, but also big businesses, and hopefully that can give you a little bit of a kickoff starting point to come up with some core values of your own. Finally, remember this. If your core values just live on paper, they are only an out-of-touch wish list. Last quote for you, executives spend too much time drafting, wordsmithing, and redrafting vision statements, mission statements, value statements, purpose statements, and so on and so forth. They spend nowhere near enough time trying to align their organizations with the values and visions already in place. Keep that in mind as you write your core values, and don't forget, again below, look and grab that Google Docs website copywriting mini template that will help you get in place as you write your own website words. Thank you as always for your time, and I'll see you back next week with an all-new mini training.